We're here live at South Philadelphia High with Marnay and Chris, and we were talking about profiling. And my question is it possible to profile anybody without considering their race?
Yes, I believe so. I believe we can profile people in the way of classism by saying they don't have enough money to afford things like seeing the stuff that they wear. Like if I had like an old pair of sneakers, like really, really old and it was falling apart, and somebody would profile them like, oh, since he don't got nothing, maybe he'll steal my stuff one day. Maybe he want what I have, something like that, because they think that I'm less fortunate because of what I wear. But everybody not comfortable buying materialistic things, like as far as like the latest new iPhone or clothing.
That's why I get what you're saying, and then I understand what like she said, Kaya said, because now she's saying like you can't profile with somebody without like thinking like the basic race at first. So some like you ever see like a Caucasian person, right?
Yeah.
And they wearing like bent up Converses or something and all that. Yeah. They have money, but they choose not to buy that. So you can't say they poor.
Right.
So it's like that's what I'm saying. Like I don't like basically like profile people on their race, but I profile stuff like their actions, their face expressions, certain things they do, like the way they looking. Like I don't just be like, oh, this what they look like, this what they got on, and all that stuff. That's why I'm trying to say like, and you could be any race. And I'm just going to observe you. Like that's what I feel as though profiling is. Like I'm going to profile you like based on your actions.
I'm curious to hear your thoughts about profiling in reality, right? So, okay, like talking about the club, whatever, airport, whatever. Like, let's talk about like police and like being on the street, right? So, a lot of people, especially in New York, there's been a whole sort of movement about they want to get rid of stop and frisk because they're saying it's unconstitutional. You don't have the right to just like search somebody on the street. And the NYPD is like, listen, like, well, it's a dangerous world, and if we want to keep things safe, well, we're just gonna. We're going to trust our officers' perception that if they see that there's like likelihood of there being a crime, we're going to stop people.
Well,
So my question to you is like, but the statistics that keep on coming out around is like so many people who are stopped, who are people of color, don't have the things they're looking for. And in fact, when it comes to like a lot of the stops that deal with like marijuana and like weed arrest, in fact, the percentages are that although most people who get stopped are black, yet most people who smoke are white. So it's like all of these things are mixed together. So I kind of want to hear your opinions about stop and frisk, about policing. Like, how do you see all that?
Well, one thing that brought to my attention was to put cameras on all cops. I think that like stop the crime over time. It has to be a work in progress. You just can't stop something in one day. So the more like they keep coming up with ways like they'll be able to eliminate the problem.
Do you think stop and frisk can work? One question, and the second follow-up question is: do you think it's possible to have it work without a racial bias? Because that's what's been happening in a lot of places. Is that it seems like it's happening like very skewed. I'm wondering if you think it's possible to somehow balance it out.
Honestly, I can only speak for myself. When I observe my profile people, I don't really look at their race, but I'm not saying the next person does because exactly like she said, most people, their first assumption is like race. They take a punt, they look at you, first thing they want to see is your skin color. That's the first thing I want to say. That's with anybody. Well, not anybody, because not me. But like I think the stop and frisk could work, but just don't come out of nowhere. If you gonna do it to everybody, do it to everybody. Just don't come out of nowhere unless you have probable cause. To be honest, don't just do it because she look like go ahead and do that. She's beautiful. Go ahead and do that. Like that's not what I'm saying. Like if you feel as though you see them looking suspicious, honestly, with all your heart they look suspicious, then I think it's okay. But if you just doing it just to be doing it, like just to make like chaos, no.
Have either of you ever been stopped by cops in your neighborhood?
Well, it happened to my cousin in Southwest. They put him to the gate at gunpoint. Someone put his hands up. He was at the park. He didn't do anything, but he said they was looking for somebody with a red shirt. And it was in the wintertime, and he had like about 4 shirts on because it was cold, and his last shirt was red. Having a problem, how you going to see the shirt under all the layers? Right? So basically, you just stopped him because he was going to harass you. And there was another case where my brother said he was stopped with a bunch of his friends. He was looking for the right person, and the man was like, "That's not him. That's not him." And one of the cops is telling the partner, "Let's take him. Let's take him. Let's take him to put him in the system." And then he was glad that the other cop, he was nice. He was like, "No, he don't got nothing on him, and that's not him. That's not him." And then he left. But if they didn't say that, he would have been.
I've never had like altercation with police myself. I've never been frisked. My friends have never been frisked. I've never been in that position. Cops don't normally come like around my neighborhood. I live in the Northeast, so like basically I don't live around very many African Americans. My neighbors are Asian and Hispanic, so yeah. But I did like it was like one incident like my stepfather was falsely accused of pulling a gun on some guy, and the guy went to the precinct, and all these cops came to my family house, and they searched the whole house, and searched my father and everything, took him in jail, and then they took my other cousin in there, because they told him, like, my grandma, she's 84, no, my great-grandma, she's 84, and she was in the basement, like, not the basement, but she lived downstairs. So he was telling her, like, don't rush in there, like, scare my grandma. She had a heart attack. She did have, like, really bad heart attack. So they didn't understand what my cousin was saying. They just, like, bum rushed him, and they said that he was trying to take one of them down or something. And they locked him up. And then my uncle, he's slow. He not slow, but he do dumb stuff. Like, he didn't graduate from high school. So, and he older than me. He like a year older than me. He technically still in 10th grade. The police wasn't even worried about him. What he doing is running up and down the block saying smart stuff. So then eventually the police got mad and started chasing him down the block. And then just like tackled him. And then he said they beat him up like a little bit in the alleyway.
What can we say about profiling? Just like some of your feelings about profiling in this society. Like, how would you say it?
I feel as though profiling does help, but it's just that people use it in the wrong ways. If using the right way, I feel as though it can help. I mean, like, it has its pros and its cons, because it's like people, they all have different personalities. Some people use it in the right way, some people use it in the wrong way.
Like, when you're hiring someone, you have to know if this person going to steal, or does this person have a record? Is this person going to come up shooting up the place like that thing that happened at Nabisco? You know, because people could lose their lives.
I don't know. I guess I was just going to say...
Who are you?
Oh, I'm Ariel. I'm a gardener. I was going to say, like, I think part of it is, don't you think it's not totally conscious? You know, like, don't you think that race in general is, like, just a society's creation, right? It's, like, it's just, you know, the differences, you know, between all of us based on our skin is just, like, something that we created in society. So, you know, that's in the media, that's in school, that's, like, in us. So if we're guessing, like, if we're, like, doing what you're saying, Marnay, and just guessing, or using common sense, like, but don't you think, like, there are some of these stereotypes and some racism is, like, ingrained in us. It's not even your fault. It's just, like, it's a part of, like, the structure of, like, the world that we live in, you know, and I don't know, I mean, I agree with you guys. I just think it's also, like, if you're looking at someone's record and maybe they have a record of, like you were saying, Chris, and, you know, you want to make sure they're not going to do something horrible in your place of business, or, like, you know, Black people get locked up and arrested at a much higher rate than everybody else anyway, and, like, maybe part of that is because of, you know, of racism, or I would say definitely it's because of racism. So I just think all these things affect each other.
Not an easy answer, for sure.
Write me down in history with your bitter, twisted lies. You may threaten me in the very dirt, but still, like dust, I'll rise. Does my sad sassiness upset you? Why are you beside with gloom? 'Cause I walk like I got oil wells pumping in my living room. Just like moons and like suns with the certainty of tide. Just like hopes springing high, still I'll rise. Did you want to see me broken? Bowed heads and lower eyes. Shoulders falling down like teardrops, weakened by my soulful cries. Does my tautness offend you? Don't take it awful hard. 'Cause I walk like I got gold mines digging in my own backyard. You may shoot me with your words, you may cut me with your eyes. You may kill me with your hatefulness, but still like air I'll rise. Does my sassiness upset you? Does it come as a surprise? That I dance like I got diamond? At the meaning of my type. Out of huts of history shape I rise. Up from a past that rooted in pain I rise. I'm a black ocean leaping wide, welling and swelling, a bear in a tide. Leaving behind the nights of terror and fear I rise. Into a daybreak of that wondrous clear I rise. Bringing the gift that my ancestor gave. I'm the dream and the hope of the slaves. I rise, I rise, I rise.
Thanks for listening to the Sunrise Youth Voice Podcast at South Philadelphia High School. For more information about our organization, visit facebook.com/Sunrise of Philadelphia or www.sunriseofphila.org.